A happy full moon Thursday to you. I hope this finds you well. We've spent a lot of time together this week. I like it. I hope you do too. So how are you hanging in there this week? I have posted some information about this full moon this week, and it has the possibility of being volatile. And honestly, I've seen that in the experiences that some of my loved ones have experienced this week. And just make sure to apply lots of extreme self-care and just be aware, and instead of reacting, respond. And we do that, we're able to respond when we're aware of what's going on and not taking it personally. Because the one thing that I've noticed a lot over this year is that there are a lot of people who are sensitive, but not knowledgeable in the ways of the woo in order to be aware of the energy that is affecting them. So they often react rather than respond. And so just make sure we are in the middle of this full moon window. Today is the full moon in Aries, and there are a lot of other cosmic influences going on right now. And again, I am not an expert in I know enough to make me dangerous where the cosmic energies are concerned. So I do turn to those who are more knowledgeable than I am. And I mostly follow, I follow Tanaz at Forever Conscious weekly, and Molly McCord. And this reminds me, Lee Harris should have come out with his monthly energy update. And one thing I noticed during the COVID outbreak was there were a lot of people who channeled that I'd followed for quite a while, and they just didn't resonate with me. Their messages no longer resonated with me. It might have changed. I know I've gone back to following Molly, and others I have just kind of fallen away. But Lee Harris is one that I've followed for quite a while now, and even during the outbreak, he continued to resonate with me. And I actually took, I've taken a couple of his classes most recently. So I will put links to Tanaz and Molly McCord and Lee Harris in the comments so that you can check them out. So speaking of Molly, I was on Instagram this morning and I came across her post on Instagram where it was talking about the full moon energy, and she was saying that the energy that comes with this brings the question of what area in my life am I ready to embody more courage and confidence. She said that these are areas that have probably required healing and care this year. So I figured instead of doing the questions that I normally do, the tarot spread, I am going to just go ahead and use that as our focus today. What area in our life, in your life, are you ready to embody more courage and confidence? And I'll draw a few cards. I think I'll draw 3 cards today. So what area of your life are you ready to embody more courage and confidence? And remember, you might be coming across this video at some time other than today, which is October 1st, 2020. If you're coming across this video later on in the year, some other time, it means that the message that is addressed today is pertinent for you whenever you're watching this. So, what area in your life are you ready to embody more confidence and courage? The dog. Loyalty, sincerity, unconditional love. And I am using the Wisdom of Avalon Oracle deck by Colette Baron Reed today. The dog, unconditional love. This is something that is definitely a theme this year. Unconditional love, not only to ourselves, to our loved ones, but others beyond us. Sincerity, unconditional love. Quite honestly, there could be a lot more of that right now. Take, for instance, the division that has occurred this year. We had the outbreak, the coronavirus outbreak, and there's a lot of differing opinions on how that should be being dealt with, how we should be responding to it. Then events that have brought Black Lives Matters to the forefront. There's definitely division there. And it's political season. Lots of division there. I was on Facebook yesterday and came across a post from Julian Lennon, and it was talking about leaders and how we should be careful about choosing our leaders. And there were quite a few Americans on there that basically told him that he's not American and to keep his nose out of it. And they just assumed that he was posting about America. And as a country, as a diplomatic entity, that's what I'm hearing, a diplomatic entity, we are very egocentric. We think that the world revolves around us, and it doesn't. And I say we, but my view is not there. Quite honestly, my view is not there. I'm not going to go into it, but my view is not there. And the world does not revolve around us as a country. And so sincerity and unconditional love. we could definitely, as a world, use a lot more of those things. So we're back to the question, what area in our life are we ready to embody more courage and confidence? So we look at sincerity and unconditional love. Often those two things are viewed as being a marshmallow. I'm seeing a marshmallow. Being a marshmallow and being weak, and they really aren't. It's being a aware and loving and compassionate human. And recently, I believe it was one of the recordings I did this week or last week, and it talked about true strength is found in being loving and compassionate. Truly, that is true strength. To be able to continue to be loving and compassionate and accepting of others, even in light of your buttons being triggered. And your buttons being triggered. It's a matter of, again, responding rather than reacting. Okay, what area in your life are you ready to embody more courage and confidence? The horse. Accepting help from another, delegating authority. Accepting help from another. Horses move in herds, and it is said that, much like the dog, but more pertaining to horses, when you have horses, you want to have more than one, because if you have more than one horse, they get lonely. So they move in herds. They are geared toward being part of a community, just like we as humans are geared to being part of a community. And being part of a community is not only offering assistance to the other without agenda. That's what I'm hearing, is without agenda. We offer assistance, unconditional love and sincerity, without agenda. And by the same token, we need to be more open to accepting help from another, being a community, being part of something bigger than ourselves, not in an effort to divide ourselves from another group, but a wider community where labels are not the norm, where labels and divisions are eradicated. I'm hearing where they're eradicated, instead of being like, there are a lot of divisions for community. We have our families, we have our communities where we live, we have our city, our state, our country, but in truth, we're a global community. We're the community of humanity. But even then, it's not just humanity. It's everything. It's the animal kingdom, it's the flora, it's the fauna, the animal kingdom. But it's being a greater whole and a greater herd. Accepting help from another and offering help to others without agenda. And when we accept help from another, we do so with gratitude, but not to feel that we're weak because we're accepting help. I know that is a really difficult one to deal with, because that was a trap that I was stuck in myself. Is it was just easier to do everything myself, and if I asked for help, I was perceived as weak. And that was actually just a perception that I was placing on myself. And the load is lighter when we work together. The load is lighter when we work together. And actually the next card that fell out for us is burden. The load is lighter when we work together. This physical reality, this physical experience, it's not always easy. It isn't. We experience everything from positive to negative on the whole spectrum. And I'm hearing God was gracious enough to give us each other. We might think that, and this is going back to something that we keep getting told, is you are not alone. You are not alone. And God was gracious enough to give us each other. We are not going through this human experience by ourselves. We came here for the varied experience. That is why we are here, to experience emotions and sensations and situations across the whole spectrum. And that is why Source, I believe, sent us here, is to experience everything. And everything, it's almost like it's getting recorded into universal history. And every experience is new because it's from us as an individual. So we are here to experience anything, the good, the bad, and the indifferent. And it's not always easy. But the burden is lightened when we work together. And we have each other. It would behoove us as a people to look at our similarities rather than our differences. Because it is in our similarities that we will find connection. And it's our differences that we allow to divide us. When in truth, we are from one source. We're all brothers and sisters. We're all divine sparks from the one. We are a spiritual family. And no, just like human families, we don't always get along. Our energy doesn't always align with one another. But that doesn't mean that we have to be cruel or unkind or emphasize the division, emphasize the differences. Like brothers and sisters, they don't always get along. I was an only child, but brothers and sisters don't always get along. But even when they're not getting along, there's still love. There's still connection of spirit, of genes. And that's what we need to focus on. Focus on our similarities and less on our differences. And focus on our love and gratitude for the gift that each of us is to the other. We don't have to go it alone. God gave us the gift of each other. I like that. So how does this pertain to embodying more courage and confidence? Because this thinking, this perception goes against the grain of what has been instilled in us. It goes against the grain of what has come before. Our divisions. And looking at differences with suspicion, at the very core of our beings, we are the same. We are made of the same stuff. And that's a spark of divine energy, a piece of the universe, a piece of source, a piece of spirit. That is what we truly are. And accepting one another, looking at our similarities, and overlooking our differences is not mainstream. There is a growing number of us, but it takes courage and confidence to step out of the box, to step out of the mainstream. And that's where the message lies. Our strength is in our being and in our numbers. The courage and confidence comes from stepping outside of the box and embracing who and what we truly are, who and what we truly are beyond this body, this meat sack, this biological spacesuit. It goes against the grain of what has been instilled in many of us. But that is where our future lies. That is where we as a people, as a being, will thrive once we realize and remember that we belong to each other. We belong to each other. And I will leave you with that thought. And I hope you found this helpful. I will be back again tomorrow with Coffee Clatch with Donna and the crew. And until then, dear friend, may you be well, and I hope to see you again soon. Take care.